All right, Will Brinson. Let's start with. Look, I thought for one series against the uniforms of the Buffalo Bills, I didn't care. We hadn't seen the ones play for the Panthers. I thought it couldn't have gone any better. That wasn't all great, but 12 plays, 70 some odd yards, 80 some odd yards, and a touchdown for Bryce Young, 6 of 8, 70 yards. I liked it.
We talked about it last week, Adam, and it was like, why are they not playing Bryce? Is it to avoid injuries to starters, which is a reasonable concern? Is it, to keep people from being too panicked about just how bad this could be? I guess, maybe that was it, because if you only play your guys in week 3 of the preseason, and I mean, look, again, all different, there's no right or wrong answer that we know of, all different approaches to the preseason. Dave Canales now has some positive momentum going into the start of the regular season, having played his guys in the 3rd week of the preseason against total backups and putting Bryce Young maybe in the best position possible. I thought you saw Bryce make some good throws. I thought he moved around nicely. There was a longer shot down the left side to Deontay Johnson.
Yep.
That was sort of like an off-script play, which is something you didn't see at all last year. And the offense at least looked competent in a way, obviously, this is not week 1. This is not a regular season game. This is not, it's not of anything of massive importance, but it did, you go back and watch the offense and it looks competent. And I think you're going to see them run the ball a ton. Chuba Hubbard was out there, I think 10 of 12 snaps. Miles Sanders out there for 2. Jonathan Brooks, they want to have back in week 3, week 4, maybe. But the new weapons and the new coaching staff appear to be giving Bryce Young a chance to at least, salvage whatever the hell last year was.
Yeah, look, I think they're going to use 2 tight ends a lot, right? Whether it's Tommy Tremble and Jatavian Sanders, but I think Jordan Matthews certainly looked like a useful piece in their offense who can essentially play one of those hybrid tight end, basically a slot tight end. So if their offense can be halfway decent and the defense looks, probably better than it did in the game against the Bills, but if their defense can be a reasonable facsimile of a year ago, like I said this, you and I have talked about this, I think their defense was largely overrated last year. I know what the total yards and all of that kind of says, but the truth is that DVOA had them near the bottom. So the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. I think they were a kind of a middle defense last year. They have to be better against the run. But if J.C. Horn can stay healthy, then they have a chance to be at least pretty good on the defensive side of the ball, and they won't be complete pushovers.
By the way, it's incredible that Jordan Matthews is 32 years old, and he's a second-round pick in 2014 by the Eagles as a wide receiver out of Vandy. It's literally 10 years later, he's hanging around the league as a tight end. Good for him. That's the dream.
It's true. He certainly has not made a mark as a player in this league. Will Brinson is joining us here.
That's like you spend 10 years in the league, and you're like, I'm just going to get dad bod and be a tight end now. You're a wide receiver. You're like, I'm just going to get a little thicker. I'm going to spend my summer getting thick and become a tight end. It's a good move.
low key, high IQ play. All right, yeah. Drake Maye is probably the best quarterback for the New England Patriots. I don't know if he's going to start. Jacoby Brissett suffered a shoulder injury, but he's declared himself okay. If you were Jerod Mayo, the new head coach of the Patriots, what would you do?
Well, he basically said the exact same thing you just said, which is that Drake Maye has played the best out of the 2 quarterbacks, indicating that if he were picking a starter based entirely on merit and how they played in the preseason, that Drake Maye would win the job over Jacoby Brissett. But as Jerod Mayo noted, there are other factors at play, and honestly, one of those factors is just the safety and health of Drake Maye, and putting a quarterback who drafted top 5 draft to number 3 overall draft pick, goes to a place where for a long time they had a really, really good quarterback and they have high standards, with a team that doesn't have great weapons and doesn't have a great offensive line. I mean, you can sort of liken Bryce Young last year to Drake Maye this year. I think there's some pieces on the Patriots offensive line, but it's not great. And there are some interesting weapons if you squint at the receiver core, but it's really just not that great, although they at least, use 2 high picks on guys to go along with their quarterback.
Right.
I think, I'm just always a little hesitant to throw a guy out there in a situation where you're not going to win. I mean, you can go both ways with it, right? You can say you got to play the kid; he needs the reps. Throw him in the fire, let him learn on the job. He has to, but it can also, you have to know your quarterback. You have to know what kind of environment you're building, and you want, to me, the answer is you go Brissett early and sort of let him take his lumps. You figure out what you have on offense, and then you go to Maye eventually. I think that's what the Patriots are going to do. But if it's a situation where, maybe it's a Tyrod Taylor, Justin Herbert situation, wouldn't be that surprising, right? Where, we have Carolina Taylor, and without the accidental stabbing of the liver by the doctor, the team doctors or whatever they did with Carolina Taylor. But, it was like, oh yeah, Herbert needs to sit. He needs some time on the bench. He needs to learn. And then when Tyrod got accidentally stabbed by the doctor and Herbert had to jump in immediately, he looked awesome. And it's like, well, that's great that he's awesome, but why the hell didn't you have him out there in the first place? You wonder if that'll be the case with Maye. And if it is, then they should get him out there. But I do understand the hesitance to put him out there because of the offensive line and the wide receiver injury, the lack of talent.
Real quick, did the accidental stabbing by the physician happen in with the Chargers or with the Browns? Because Tyrod Taylor has been the quarterback, the intended.
Tyrod got the start in week 1 for the Browns and suffered a concussion on the third drive or maybe the third play or whatever. Baker Mayfield comes in and never leaves again.
Right.
And then he gets a job with the Chargers and he's suiting up for the game and the doctor comes in to give him a pain injection and he shoots him in a vital organ and he can't play, so they have to roll Justin Herbert out there. It's an all-time Chargers move.
That is very on brand for the Chargers. So you say you can see, one of 2 decisions, and I realize that I am on an island here, but I will die on this hill that quarterbacks are overdrafted, and then we ask too much of them because we've overdrafted them using the royal we. And we end up screwing them up, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. We can't figure out why we can't find a quarterback. The truth is because we ruined them as a league. What I would do with Drake Maye is I would not let him play for the first several weeks of the season. I would use Jacoby Brissett, and then if something happened to him, I'd use Joe Milton. And I would wait until late in the season to get Maye on the field because they're not winning a thing this year in New England. Their roster isn't very good. They traded Matthew Judon. They're telling you how good they're not going to be. So let Maye watch. Right.
No, I was going to say one of the things on that self-fulfilling prophecy thing too. But it's bad teams are usually the ones selecting quarterbacks high.
Yeah.
And when you have a bad team, you're probably lacking in terms of the offensive line. You're probably lacking in terms of pass catchers. And you probably have a coach who could be fired. That's just who's on the hot seat or who's a new coach and who you're learning about. You look at Mahomes and think about that. Look at Mahomes and Josh Allen. Those 2 franchises traded way up, moved 10-plus spots each up to get their quarterback, and then plugged each guy into an environment, an ecosystem that was already pre-designed to benefit the quarterback,
right.
And each guy flourished. Now, not every team's going to have Andy Reid, right? Not every team's going to have the foresight of the Bills to do that with Josh Allen. And Josh Allen, they're both, Mahomes and Allen are incredible skill sets. But, if you take Josh Allen and Mitchell Trubisky and flip them, Mahomes and Trubisky and flip them, and put Trubisky on with Andy Reid and the Chiefs, and put Mahomes with the Bears, the whole Bears regime. I promise you that the Bears aren't holding up 3 Super Bowls in the last 4 years, and that Mr. Trubisky is not on his 5th team, just starting to grind up this veteran backup lifestyle.
Yeah, Trubisky would not have played. The difference between Allen and Mahomes, of course, is that Mahomes watched the entire first season until the final week of the regular season and then set every record there was to set the following year. But Allen, as you say, was plugged into a team that was already good. So
it's just the difference. They had an offensive line and they had some weapons, and then they go out and trade for Steph Diggs, and now you got all this stuff. And by the way, Mahomes, also Alex Smith, the year before Mahomes won MVP, was the midseason MVP in 2016. Like, he was playing incredible football.
All right, real quick, last thing we'll talk about this week, and then we all get underway next. I'm so excited for next week already because the start of the NFL season means everybody has a chance. No, they don't. Mike Tomlin said before the preseason started, Russell Wilson is our number one quarterback, but it's an open competition. Doesn't appear to me to be an open competition because, by all accounts, while not perfect, Fields has been better than Russ, but Russ showed one good thing last week. They pulled him out of the game. Justin Fields came on, played well, but don't we kind of think that Tomlin is leaning towards Russ as his starting quarterback?
Yeah, look, of course. Russ had pole position from the beginning. Justin Fields had to win it away from Russ. And while Justin Fields gives you more upside with a fantasy team, one, and then with in theory, the ability to create big plays, two, that's not what Mike Tomlin's looking for. He hired Arthur Smith as his OC to replace Matt Canada, right? This is not a guy going out on the limb and trying to be creative with offense here. Arthur Smith is going to run the football a ton. They want to play great defense, run the football effectively, and be physical. And they want a quarterback who is not going to be predisposed to turning it over at a high rate, which is what Justin Fields is. Now, Justin Fields, again, more upside play to play. Russell Wilson's floor higher, ceiling much, much lower. But with Russ, you know what you're getting, which is largely somebody who's going to stay within the structure of the offense and play this boring style of offense. It makes you want to be a homeless man's version of the 2012, 2013 Seahawks, I think.
And if Jaylen Warren can come back and be effective, then the Steelers will have a better running game. I think he's better. As much as I love Najee Harris as a
Jaylen Warren's definitely better, but Najee in a contract here, I think they'd love to play. They'd love to give Najee the Le'Veon Bell treatment, where you give him 400 carries and wish him good luck on the open market, and then you move to Jaylen Warren and maybe draft somebody next year.
Yeah, I think Warren's just flat out better in all facets of the game. All right, sir. It all gets underway in 11 days. Thank you so much, Will. And we will, first of all, at Will Brinson on Twitter. I'll talk to you next week.
Bye, buddy. See you, man.